Hello, everybody. So I'm very, very happy to welcome you to another of our G-IPTech lectures after a quite long break. So we haven't seen each other for quite some times. And today we're very, very happy to have Dr. Mei Ning YAN, who's coming from Hong Kong and is a visiting scholar here at QUB. And she's been here already for a few months, and she's going to be with us for another year at least. And her contribution is really important because she is a scholar and a former journalist in China, in Hong Kong and Greater China. And she is spending research time, plenty of research in looking into in looking into, and this is specific to the discussion of today, in looking into distribution, availability of content online. And in particular today, she's going to look into I think a very interesting issue, because she's going to provide us with an overview about recent developments in the law, which most of us, I suppose, are totally unaware, in the law of cyberbullying in China. Because for what I understand, for a long period of time, there was no specific legislation addressing cyberbullying in China, although that was a pretty important issue and very widespread. But now there is new legislation, and Dr. Yan is going to tell us a little bit about all these new developments. So thank you very much, and the floor is yours.
Thank you.
Please go ahead.
Thank you very much for Professor Forsio's kind introduction. And thank you all for coming to this presentation. Well, my topic today, well, as you can see, it is tackling cyberbullying, China's recent law and policy initiatives. My main purpose of this presentation is to let you know that, well, in addition to the general stereotype impression of China's regulation of online content, that is having a great firewall and also a kind of control and command regime. There, in fact, a lot of detailed rules and policies. So moving. Let's see. On is here. What's going on? Yes, it's turned on already. Just I have to.
Maybe we need to touch the screen, and let's see. No.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay. Thanks a lot. Well, my outline, here's my outline. First, the first part, I will talk about cyberbullying in general, the terminology and definition and the serious consequences of cyberbullying. And then I will move to the main part of my presentation, which is about China's tackling of cyberbullying. Giving you some examples of cyberbullying and the law before late 2022 and the law after 2022. And in between, I will mention what issues are involved. And lastly, the last part will be on reflections on legal and regulatory issues. Is there any emerging trend or model worldwide? And also to conclude, I will mention a couple of things about China's own scenarios. So this is my outline. So how to get rid of that. Thank you.
No. Oh. Okay.
Thanks. Thanks a lot.
Now, see. Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Okay.
Oh, now we come to the definition, okay? So bullying and cyberbullying are Western terms from the West, okay? And in China, it's just a translation of the Western terminologies. And cyberbullying, the word originates from bullying. So we first have to understand what is bullying. And here is the definition of bullying. Coined by a Norwegian psychologist. Bullying is when someone repeatedly and on purpose says or does mean or hurtful things to another person who had a hard time defending himself or herself. But then this is not a legal definition anyway. And then, also from this psychologist, bullying can take many forms, including verbal bullying, calling names and harassment, or leaving one person out of a group, or physical bullying, such as pushing, hitting, or kicking, or telling lies, spreading false rumors, or taking away money or other things, or damaging personal property. This is especially common in schools, okay? The stronger bullying the weaker. Or, the last thing is threatening or forcing another person to do things they don't want to do. So these are the forms of bullying. So this bullying, we call it traditional bullying, is in fact face-to-face bullying. It occurs mainly among children in schools or near schools. But then it can also take place among adults. It can be racial bullying or on racial basis or other things, okay? There are three defining criteria about bullying. The first is intent to harm. The second is repetition of the behavior over time. So it is not just about a joke or teasing, playful teasing. And also there's an imbalance of power between the victim and the bully. So it is the stronger bully the weaker, okay? So these are the three defining criteria about bullying. And for cyberbullying, it is a term first coined in 1999 by a Canadian politician. Again, it is not a legal definition. So according to this Belsi, cyberbullying involves the use of information and communication technologies to support deliberate, repeated and hostile behavior by an individual or group, which is intended to harm others. So again, the element is the intention to harm. And also it is, it is deliberate and repeated. So cyberbullying is a sort of convenient label for abusive behavior through the use of computers and mobile phones with internet access. Both the term bullying and cyberbullying are not legal terms. Moreover, cyberbullying, in fact, is very different from bullying. How different is, the kind of difference? First is conducted, as mentioned, via electronic devices and media. So it's not face-to-face. And it can target a victim in any location and at any time. So not only in or around schools, and also very often outside school hours. And as such, it's very difficult to detect as well, especially for teenage victims. They are more vulnerable in the case of cyberbullying because they just don't want to let their parents or teachers knowing about that, fearing their mobile phone will be taken away. And bullies in this case very often enjoy anonymity. And they are unknown to the victims, so it is difficult to detect cyberbullying. But then the effect of such cyberbullying will be far and wide and with remarkable speed. The posts, the photos, the videos travel far and wide. And one very different feature is that, how about the bystanders? the ordinary netizens, they play an important role by sharing and liking the hurtful content. Well, so the three defining criteria applied to traditional bullying, can they be applied to cyberbullying? Intention to harm, are they bullies for the bystanders? Any imbalance of power? Power should be. For the bullies, in fact, they can be victims at other times. So there's not exactly the weaker against the stronger against the weaker. So anyone can be bullies at the same time they can be victims. And some research came up with 6 key features about cyberbullying. One is persistence. The next is wide audience reach and anonymity, limited detectability, and potential harm, permanence of the harm or the information online. Okay. And so it again come to the question, are the 3 defining criteria of traditional bullying can be applied? Well, intention to harm, repetition of the behavior over time, and an imbalance of power between the victims and the bullies. And so cyberbullying, we know the features, the main features, but it's in fact, it is a term very difficult to define. And some suggest using other terms, other terminologies, like cyber aggression or cyber violence. But then all these terms, in fact, lack precision. And but then cyberbullying, one very key feature is that it is, this is the term most commonly used at the time, still commonly used. The serious consequences about cyberbullying is that it can lead to serious harm or self-harm, even suicide. There are 2 illustrations from across the Atlantic. One happened back in year 2006 in America. A 13-year-old girl, Mei Ning YAN, committed suicide after experiencing cyberbullying. A more recent case occurred in Ireland here. Well, in the southern part, in 2018, Nicole Coco Fox, 21 years old. Well, she committed suicide after experiencing bullying, both online and offline. Okay, so these are 2 high-profile cases about cyberbullying that led to suicide. So after we finish the first part about what is cyberbullying and the serious consequences of cyberbullying, now we move to the main part of my presentation, which is on China, giving you some recent illustrations. Well, before that, I had to mention this one. Back in year 2008, the courts in China first dealt with lawsuits arising from cyberbullying. That incident occurred in the form of so-called human flash search engine. This is a term I will come back later. It is very important in the case of China because it's the major form of cyberbullying. We'll come to the definition later, okay? In recent years, several high-profile cyberbullying incidents had led to victims committing suicide, okay? And attracted huge attention both in China and beyond. Say, for example, with this young boy, he's 17 years old. His name is Liu Shezhou. This is a report from the Washington Post. Soon after his death. The post written, when his death was confirmed by Chinese police, it triggered an outpouring of brief and nationwide soul searching over cyberbullying, mental health, and abandoned children. Soon after his death, a hashtag of his name had been viewed 2.4 billion times on microblog Weibo, as many asked how Liu could have been let down so frequently and utterly by society. So you can see, his name, the post he posted had a lot of people concerned about that. This exert a lot of pressure on the Chinese authorities to act.
Anyone, sorry?
So coming to this Liu Xuedou's case, what happened to him, okay? So he was sold when he was only 3 months old. And his adoptive parents died when he was 4 years old. And he managed to reunite with his birth parents after an appeal on social media. But then, only then, Liu learned that he had been sold, okay? But then his birth parents soon cut off the contact with Liu. But his story was reported in detail also by the mainstream media, telling the story of the birth parents' accusation towards Liu, but without Liu's side of the story. So this is what happened to Liu within a very short period of time. He managed to get reunited with his parents, but then his parents cut off contact with him and make accusation with him. Yes, see what happened.
Hello, everybody. Can I please ask anybody online to mute their microphones because we can hear somebody speaking?
Thank you. So because of the media reports, Liu was severely bullied by many strangers, accusing him wanting money from his parents. And oh, not here. Oh, it's not soundproof. So Liu was severely bullied online by strangers, accusing him wanting money from birth parents, calling him a scheming cyberbagger who libeled his parents and questioned whether he was a minor. So a lot of accusations and bullying online, and soon he took his life after posting a suicide note. Well, detailing about the mishap in his life and how he was attacked online. So, well, unfortunately, a 17-year-old boy committed suicide, and well, he had a very difficult life before that and subject to bullying. Another case happened the next year in 2023 about a pink hair lady who was only 23 years old. What happened was that she dyed her hair in pink color, and she committed suicide in early year 2023 after being bullied online for 6 months. What happened? Why she was bullied? Because 6 months ago, in middle of 2022, she posted online her photos. Showing her going to see her grandpa in hospital, or telling him that she had been admitted graduate studies in education. But because of her pink hair, so she attracted bullies online, calling her a prostitute, a nightclub girl, things like that, and making up a story about the photos. It is not a grandpa with.
Would you have a higher resolution version of the image used?
An old man marrying a young lady. So these two cases, and then we in the same year, 2023, a young mother who lost her son. What happened was that, well, in the middle of 2023, a young child was killed on campus after running over by a car driven by a teacher, and his mother, surnamed Yang, voiced her grievances while media interviews. But then after watching the media interviews, the bullies attacked her online, well, saying that she simply want money from the school, more compensation from the school, and also accusing her not sad enough because she's wearing very thick makeup. So this is what happened to this young lady, and she jumped to death a week later. So these are the 3 tragic cases of victims committed suicide soon after they were bullied online in China. There are some other cases, but I just select 3 high-profile ones for you. And moving on, I would like to come up with some of the major features about cyberbullying in China based on the cases we have seen. Well, in many cases, the so-called bullies are in fact ordinary netizens, ordinary people. Well, between the bullies and the victims, there's no imbalance of power, and there's no previous row between them. And is there any intention to harm? Not very apparently, okay? And many netizens simply wanted to blame and shame someone they don't like. They think that they are immoral, or they are not for. They think that these people are not following the social norms, or simply they are having fun in liking and sharing the posts. So this is the picture in China about the bullies. But there's some other bullies, as mentioned in this report, or online influencers. Well, they are online influencers. They would like to boost they would like to further their personal interests by boosting their click-through rates of their social media page. So they take the lead inside bullying, attract more fans, so that they can sell more goods online, or they can get more money online. So they will take the lead in cyberbullying, and other ordinary netizens would join in. And also with this, well, how about the victims? The victims, you can see some of them are adults. Not all of them are children, okay? In fact, few of them are children. Well, they have basic digital skills. They know how to put, at least to put the photos online, they post online. But then they might have already suffered from traumas or serious depression. And they were so hopeless about the injustice done to them because of the cyberbullying. What they do is to resort to the Chinese traditional thinking of killing oneself in order to prove one's innocence, because no one can help them. All they can do is to sacrifice their life, so that they are not that bad. They are in fact the one who is the victim. Okay. And another feature about cyberbullying in China is the so-called human flash search. Well, this is a very important one. This is a report of the one high-profile incident of cyberbullying via human flash search, well, leading to the death of who committed suicide by overdose of drugs. What is human flash search engine is that it is well, you know search engine, mainly Google, okay, and others like Bing's, that sort of thing. But then in China, it is it's manual, humans, okay, human acting as search engine. What they do is to make collective efforts in answering questions online, search information online about a specific person, and then sharing the search results online and bully the person. So this is so-called human flash search engine. A lot of people doing that, and this doctor, she and her husband had row with someone else in the swimming pool, and then she was searched online by others, and then subject to abuse, and soon afterwards she took her life. So what happened? Well, I'm now coming to the law summary of the law before late 2022. There's no specific laws and policies tackling cyberbullying. Okay, for many years, victims or their families may bring civil lawsuits, but not many victims do that. Okay, or their families do that. Well, for example, in the case of Liu Shuizhou, the young teenager, well, the second one is, well, back in year 2008, well, the first human search engine case, flash search engine case. But more recently, before late 2022, there have been public prosecution by the procurators, that is the prosecutors in China, but they have broader duties than prosecutors here for criminal libel and criminal insult. I'm going to show you 4 cases, okay? This is the third one, that is the death of the doctor. After her death, well, public prosecution for criminal insult. And then the 4th case is about a case similar to the Pink Lady one, okay? So start with the first one, Liu Xiaodou's the 17-year-old young boy, okay? Soon after his death in 2022, his aunt brought a civil lawsuit against 2 online influencers who had played a key role in bullying Liu. The cause of action was infringing Liu's personality rights, meaning the invasion of privacy and also reputation, okay? Court decisions, we don't know. These days, Chinese courts stop from letting the public know about the court judgments. Very different from the practices a decade ago, okay? Well, no action has been taken against any online platforms, and no action taken against any other netizens who participate in the bullying, by making or sharing hurtful comments. The second case, back in year 2008, the first human flash search engine case, the victim did not die. He did not commit suicide. Instead, he brought civil lawsuits, not against the bullies, but against B, who disclosed his A's private facts of adultery, and also the websites posting B's posts and the website sharing B's posts. The cause of action was infringing A's rights to reputation and privacy. B and C were found liable, but not D, because D, the website sharing the post, took down the post soon after A brought it. But then, well, A only managed to get meagre and nominal damages. That is the consequence of bringing civil lawsuits. Okay, in China, civil lawsuits can result in a lot of compensation, very small amount. And now we come to the third case about the doctor committed suicide after suffering cyberbullying via so-called human flash search engine. After the doctor's death, local procurator brought public prosecution against 3 accused who masterminded the human flash search. The offense was criminal insult, okay? Grounds are that they incited cyber violence, they publicly degraded the victim's personality, damaged her reputation, and caused her immense pressure and leading to her suicide. So these are the reasons why the public prosecution. The 3 accused were convicted. The first defendant will jail for 1.5 year sentence of imprisonment. Okay, the other 2 suspended sentences. Again, well, no action has been taken against online platforms, and nor any netizens who participated in bullying. Okay. The 4th case, is similar to the Pink Lady one. What happened was that an estate agent, B, wanted to boost the click-through rate of his website. He fabricated a story when he saw photos of A online, saying she was a greedy young lady marrying an old man. In fact, she was just showing her photo taken with her grandpa. And you see the impact, okay? B's post was read 470 million times, given the huge number of netizens in China, okay? And also attracted a lot of comments and sharing. And A suffered cyberbullying, of course, the young lady, but we don't know about anything about the lady, okay? What we know is that the local procurator brought public prosecutions against the estate agent B for criminal libel. The court decision was that the case was serious and endangered social order. B was sentenced to 1 year imprisonment. That 4 cases I have gone through took place before late 2022, okay? So a summary of what happened before late 2022. Well, case 1, case 2, civil lawsuits brought by victims or their families. Case 3, case 4 happened more recently. One in year 2018, one in year 2021. Criminal prosecutions brought by procurators. Okay, and but then they are mainly target against the key bullies or masterminders. Okay, so few actions or in some cases no action taken against the online platforms, and no action against ordinary netizens who may or share the hurtful comments. So the issues about cyberbullying, okay, the legal and regulatory issues, civil lawsuits, well, mainly for compensation after the bullying, okay, well, harms had already been done. And for criminal prosecutions, punish the punish the bullies or the masterminders, but again, harms had already been done. Okay, so another question is how about whether we should punish ordinary netizens? How about the online platforms? Well, in fact, in China, online platforms are subject to Article 36 of the Tort Liability Law enacted in 2010. Well, it is a notice and take down regime, meaning that the ISPs knowing that having the knowledge, then he had to do something. But without the knowledge, usually nothing had to be done. Okay, and also ISP in China had already been subjected to a very complicated regulatory regime. They had to get a lot of licenses before they can operate, and these licenses are subjected to annual renewal. And other than that, on top of that, they will frequently subject to orders and instructions from a very important office in China, is so-called the Cyberspace Administration of China, CAC. This is the the office in charge of all the online monitoring all the online content and supervise all the ISPs online platforms and but then other than this A and B, should more has to be done in the case of the online platforms, okay? Should they be strictly regulated or something like that? And then you can see, well, what happened to Liu Shezhou, the 17-year-old boy. There are a lot of commentaries online. And the Japanese media, China ramp up a fight against cyberbullying in wake of deaths. Okay, so laws and regulations before late 2022 were considered as inadequate in tackling cyberbullying. Okay, sort of. So need to bring changes to laws and policies. So what are the laws and policies? Well, again, as mentioned, legal issues should cyberbullying be left to victims or families to take legal actions? Should there be more criminal prosecutions relying on existing offenses? And in the case of China, there's private prosecutions and public prosecution of libel and insult. Okay. And other than the existing offenses, should new offenses, specific offenses, be introduced to combat cyberbullying? And also how to deal with those ordinary netizens who participate. The regulatory issues are, can online platforms be required to do more in their designs and measures to promptly stop a particular bullying incident, for example, and in preventing cyberbullying. So you have legal issues concerning the punishment, okay, and on this and compensation, and on this side, your regulatory issues about online platforms, okay. And on top of that, of course, there are other not legal or regulatory issues. It's educational issue, okay? The promotion of media and information literacy among all citizens, including the potential victims and bullies. So what happened after late 2022, okay? There are major attempts in tackling cyberbullying. Measure 1, in late 2022, the office in charge of online content, Cyber Space Administration of China, issued a policy document to strengthen the regulation of cyber violence. It used the term cyber violence instead of cyberbullying. Well, it seems that the terms are interchangeable these days, with the word cyberbullying more on the minors, in the cases of minors. But in general, they use the term cyber violence. Okay, and we'll come to what is the meaning of cyber violence later. Okay, and now we come to the second measure. From there, the office move on to draft legislation. In middle of last year, provisions of regulating cyber violence information. It is the information containing cyber violence. The third measure was issued, was announced late last year. It is the three unit, the Supreme People's Court, the highest court, the Supreme People's Protectorate, and the Ministry of Public Security jointly issue guiding opinions on punishment of cyber violence, and also mentioned 7 model cases how to deal with cyber. Okay. So measure 1, it is a document containing ad hoc measures of dealing with cyber bullying cases. Okay, so in the document, the definition is given on what is cyber violence, and also some measures and mechanisms mentioned, including how to prevent, how to protect victims, and how to stop dissemination of bullying posts and messages, and also giving instructions on how to implement existing punishments. I won't go into this measure 1 because I will talk about the second, which is legislation. Okay, well, this one is still in use because the second one, which is legislation, is only a draft put up for public consultation. It is back in July last year, but no legislation so far. I don't know why. From time to time, China would like to do that. They put up a draft, and the draft will last for years and years without turning them to exact law. And someone asked, should this be turned into a national legislation and legislated by the National People's Congress as just like a domestic violence law? So we don't know yet. Lobbying for this piece of draft to be upgraded to a nationwide law with much higher authority. Okay. So what is in it is, again, it defines what is cyber violence, the information containing cyber violence information, and also tells you the role of ISPs, their general obligations, ask them to introduce early warning mechanisms and measures, and tell them how to manage cyber violence information and devise protective measures and mechanisms for netizens. Okay. And lastly, this draft law also contains the liability, fines, and punishments supposed to be enacted. Okay. So what is cyber violence information? Well, according to this draft, it is illegal or this is a Chinese term. Okay, 不良 information. What is it? The exact meaning is not good. So information is illegal and not good, but then you can translate it as, well, objectionable, okay? And but then anyway, it is wider than the scope of harmful. It is not only it's not illegal, it's not harmful, but it's just objectionable, maybe, okay? So information that are illegal or objectionable sent in a defensive manner via the internet to an individual, including what? Insult and verbal abuses, libel, invasion of privacy, and also information which seriously affect the individual's physical and mental well-being, such as moral coercion, as in the case of Liu Xuezhou, well, and malicious speculations. In the case of the mother who lost her son, she wants more compensation, okay? Or that okay? So you can a more exact area, but then the last areas mainly on the very bad impact on the physical and mental health, mental well-being of the victim, okay? So what the ISPs had to do, ISPs is internet service providers, or another term is online services providers, or another term is these days online, or another term social media platforms, okay? So but then I stick to the oldest one, maybe this ISP on internet service providers, okay? Services providers. So they had an important role to play in prevent and erase cyber violence information. They are also asked to do more self-regulation, but on top of self-regulation, legislation asked them to manage information using new measures, including the design for an efficient early warning system. And also some existing measures, just like a deletion of the post, monitoring of the comments, and that sort of thing, okay? And also financial support to accounts spreading violence. What they really want required to do in preventive measures to design a one key function to enable a victim to stop private messages from strangers, comments, sharings, notifications, and also help the victims to use this one key function. And also offer more assistance to minors and elderlies. This is one kind of victim, one category of victim. Another kind of victim is who bully online publicly, or those bullied and no intervention, timely intervention. And also they have the ISPs and design, and also they have one key function victims to collect and keep evidence of cyber violence, so that they can bring civil lawsuits or going cyber violence. And as in this Trump legislation, also the liabilities fine. Well, the regulatory action against ISP warnings, reprimands, identifications, and fines ISPs. Their inactions, okay, causing serious consequences and health sensitivities. Well, and also the licenses will be suspended or revoked if they involve in organizing cyber violence. These are regulatory actions if the ISP violate this piece of text. And they are the ISPs can have actions against the internet users who participate in cyber violence. Them warning, stop them accounts, blacklist them, no more accounts allowed, that sort of thing. And for netizens have accounts operated online businesses, then the ISP can delete the things
And so classes like gorgeous. Oh yeah, it's like risk is always.
On top of that,
well, like I'm going to go up north. And then go back this one has a. What was that thing that they?
well, they are
said, I'm thinking what you mean. There's like the silent assassins, use that word. So that card could be fit into the deck, just ending you. So then when wherever you're at, it's not like normal risk.
Actually, they're not room.
On this one have the call. Oh, okay. See, that's good. The kind of yeah. Or the range one, and I also have the card in this. So that's what you might.
So that because it's other rooms,
Yes.
another room.
Twice, I can't remember years ago. Yeah.
What
This
is going on?
is here.
This was on pretty far to the side of the
Oh,
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
So, these are regulatory measures. Those are legal consequences, civil liability or criminal liability. And in the case of China, there are also administrative punishments conducted by the police. We'll come to that later. The third measure, announced late last year, as mentioned, it was by the highest court, the Supreme People's Procuratorate, and also the Ministry of Public Security, telling the local courts, procurators, and also the police on how to tackle cyber violence. What they are going to in that document, telling them why they had to tackle cyber violence, okay? And ask them to apply the law correctly to punish the acts involving cyber violence and ensure the victims having timely and easy access to legal remedies and litigation process. And lastly, on the promotion of comprehensive regulation. These are the four major topics in this document issued by the three departments. So why tackling cyber violence according to the Supreme People's Court because they first they come up with what is cyber violence. It is not a definition. In fact, it is just telling you what they are. Acts targeting an individual, such as insult and verbal abuses, libel, invasion of privacy, etc., having serious consequences because so we have to tackle. The document used the word social death. Okay, or I think it's shunned by others, and also causing mental disorder and suicides. So it has serious impact on the public's feeling of security, and also the victim had difficulties in seeking legal remedies because the bullies are strangers. They're difficult to pin down who are the bullies, and difficult to collect evidence, the victims, and high costs in seeking legal remedies. So the courts, procurators, and police are reminded of their roles and duties. They should fully understand the social harms done by caused by cyber violence. They should facilitate the victims in the pursuit of legal remedies and protect the lawful rights of citizens and safeguarding public's feeling of security and maintain order online. Okay. So how to apply the law correctly? What they are going to do for the courts, for the police, and for the prosecutors, when cyber violence is seriously enough, they should apply criminal law. There are several provisions to be dealt with: criminal libel, criminal insult, breach of personal data, and failure to the ISP failure to perform their duties, and ISPs or platforms illegal use of their network. Okay, so these are cases cyber violence that are seriously enough then apply criminal law. But then if the cyber violence is not constituting a crime in China, you are still breaking the law, but it doesn't as serious as crime. Then the police will step in. The police will investigate and hand down sentences, including fines and detention without court trial. But then the detention, if two offenses together, will be a maximum of 20 days of detention. Okay, And then also, the courts and the prosecutors and the police had to rectify misbelief among the public that the law won't punish the mass. That I just join others to play, to have fun, but then they should be educated. This is not the right thing to do. The law doesn't only punish a specific bully, okay? And also in instance as listed out, severe punishments applicable, including if the incidents target minors and people with disability, hire someone to bully, fabricate sex-related topics using deepfake, or the cyber violence was in fact organized by the ISPs. In those cases, a serious punishment should be involved. Okay. And in the case of civil lawsuits brought by victims or their families, the cost should support the victims. But then how to apply the law correctly. There's a very important reminder on the last part. For reports or expose of wrongful or unlawful acts, the police should not arrest the person, or the prosecutors should not prosecute the one who put up such reports for criminal libel. And also for commentaries or criticisms, even biased or extreme, but not wanton abuses or malicious swearing, the maker of the statement should not be arrested or prosecuted for criminal insult, meaning that the law should be applied rigorously, but do pay attention, don't overplay, don't overreact. There should be room for report of malpractices of officials, valid criticisms of officials and some other important persons, okay? And also, the third part, we come to the third part of this document, helping the victims to timely and easy access to legal remedies and litigation process, is that if the victims brought private prosecutions under the criminal law for libel and insult, then the court can request the police to offer assistance to the victim in collection of evidence, okay? And the ISP should cooperate with the police. And if the police are getting sufficient evidence, the court should allow the victim to bring private prosecution of criminal insult or criminal libel. In the case of serious cases, public prosecution by prosecutors, okay, procuratorate, should be involved, okay, including incidents or cyber violence instance resulting in serious consequences such as mental disorder, suicide of victim or family members, etc., having a very bad social impact. In that case, the procurator should step in and initiate public prosecutions, okay? But then given that the alleged act is seriously endanger social order and national interest, that is written in the law, or the criminal law. And when to have a private prosecution, when to have public prosecution? Well, if the victim brought a private prosecution, it can be later switched to public if the court find that the alleged act is seriously endanger social order, okay? And in the case of civil lawsuits, the victims can apply for injunctions if irreparable harm can be done, so to stop the harm as soon as possible. And moreover, the procurator can bring public interest in litigation on behalf of the victim if the act of cyber violence infringe societal public interest, which is a term not defined, okay? So you have several options, okay? The options are civil lawsuits brought by victims or families may apply for injunctions, public interest litigation brought by the procuratorate, and criminal prosecutions, private prosecution brought by families or victims, the police and ISPs may be required to offer assistance in investigations, while public prosecutions brought by procurators. Okay, so these are criminal and civil. And lastly, it is the police punishments. If the Cyber Violence Act had to be dealt with, but not serious enough to have a criminal prosecutions. So lastly, about this piece of document issued by the Supreme Court is to promote a better and comprehensive regulation, safeguarding victims' rights and so on, strengthen cooperation between the court, the police, and the prosecution, more publicities, that the laws are applicable online, and also promote comprehensive regulation, etc. Try to curb cyber violence at its source. So I finished quickly. I finished the law. The laws and policies announced after late 2022. Okay, so you have two pieces of documents. Both are now still in use. A draft legislation, only a draft, not becoming a legislation so far. Lastly, I come to the final part of my presentation is on reflections. Well, any emerging model or trend worldwide. Well, the first part is about the regulatory and legal issues concerning cyberbullying. First, the term cyberbullying, is it a correct terminology? Whether we should use cyber violence or cyber aggression instead. Any exact definition for cyberbullying? The second thing is any specific criminal offense needed to tackle cyberbullying. Well, whether this specific offense is targeting only the bully, or how about the netizens participating? And the third about the regulatory issues about cyberbullying is how to regulate ISPs. What are the liabilities of the ISPs? Should they have more regulation on ISPs? Well, this is a book published late last year. It's called Digital Empires. It says that there are three different regulatory models of the internet so far. The US model is market-driven, meaning that there's no or little regulation, okay? The second one is China. It is state-driven. It is based on a command and control model mechanism, okay? The third is the EU model, which is rights-driven, meaning that it tries to rein in big tech companies so as to safeguard the rights of citizens. More or less, this book is about this, okay? So we have a look at what happened in the US about cyberbullying, okay? Tackling cyberbullying. No specific federal offense against cyberbullying. The girl, Mei Ning, after her death, there was a piece of legislation tried to pass through the Congress, but failed to be enacted. Well, so led to states and schools to devise laws and rules, and some were struck down by courts, okay? The major consideration in the United States is that the First Amendment rights. Well, the Supreme Court has so far not yet ruled on any of the cyberbullying case, okay? So, and on this side is about the law, on this side about regulation, okay? No regulation of the internet so far, and no liability of the online platform for posting content by others, okay? Or by moderate posting of others, okay? So this is due to a piece of law, Section 230 of the Communication Decency Act back in 1996, giving a shield or an immunity to ISPs. Well, and it helped the internet to prosper, to develop. And in recent years, because there's so many harmful materials online, okay, harmful content online, there are a lot of lobbying. Try to restrict or to restrict this immunity, but so far not successful. So the thing is that no specific federal offense, no liability, sort of no liability for online platforms for others' posts. Okay. What happened in the EU is that, well, again, no specific EU-wide offense against cyberbullying, But in Ireland, the so-called Cocoa law was enacted after the death of the 21-year-old girl Coco in year 2000 and in 2020, a number of offenses, okay, about online non-consensual dissemination of intimate images and some other related offenses, okay, up to 7 years imprisonment. So some politicians urged to adopt a EU-wide Cocoa law, okay. But then, well, because many EU members have no law tackling cyberbullying. Until recently, well, mainly practice self-regulation of the internet. And so ISPs are mainly subject to liabilities stipulated in the e-commerce directive year 2000, okay? It's mainly a notice and take down and later developed to a more sophisticated notice and action and further regime, okay? But then in late year 2022, EU promulgated the Digital Services Act, signify a move from self-regulation to co-regulation, okay? And impose more due diligence obligations on ISP, especially for the very large tech companies. I won't go into details. This is very complicated legislation, okay? And in the UK, well, no specific offense against cyberbullying, but over the years, introduced several defenses targeting online abuses, such as revenge porn, okay? And of course, in year 2023, the Online Safety Act introduced several new offenses targeting online abuses, such as harmful or false communications, threatening communications, etc. And on the regulatory side, again, move away from self-regulation, okay? With the Online Safety Act, imposing a duty of care on user-to-user services and search engines, okay? So you can see, well, tackling cyberbullying, the issues are the governments and legislatures are under enormous pressure to act, whether to introduce new offenses or to rein in online platforms. The major considerations would be how to strike a proper balance between the protection of freedom of expression and the protection of individuals' rights to privacy and reputation, and how to come up with preventive measures and mechanisms, including platform designs, and also a non-legal aspect is how to the promotion of information and media literacy. Okay, so these are the major considerations. In the case of China, well, its own scenario. The overall policy is of the internet is command and control. Okay, but it preferred not to adopt the model of ISP immunity from the United States. But then, well, it learned a lot from the EU over the years, adopting a regime of notice and take down of the ISP liability, okay? And certainly, I think China would closely observe and even follow EU's recent developments. And in the past years, as mentioned, few years, China is under enormous pressure to combat cyberbullying. Will the measures be effective? Okay, the three measures we have mentioned. Well, we have to bear in mind China had a major problem of campaign-driven lawmaking and enforcement, meaning that it will strike hard at certain time and become very relaxed other times, okay? So the ISPs and the netizens know how to play. They will become very naughty when there's a lot of relaxations, but then they will behave very well when there's strict enforcements, okay? So this is the problem. And also the problem is that, well, as mentioned in this report, suicide of the pink-haired girl housed the CCP, meaning the Chinese Communist Party, exploited a tragedy. The meaning is that will China using the regulation of cyber violence to control more, to exercise more surveillance on its people. Okay, these are also various And also the issue of human flash search engine. To many Chinese, this is good. It's a positive mechanism in exposing corruption or malpractices of officials. They want to keep this one. They want to have, they can still use this kind of a mechanism. So they don't want cyber flash search to disappear. The final question about Chinese scenarios is that, well, why cyberbullying was so rampant in China? Yeah, well, I won't answer this question because it's not a question of law, and I have some ideas, but I haven't conducted any serious research on this topic. So this is the end of my presentation. Thank you very much.